What's up, Westfield?
We're here to talk about ways you can integrate technology into your day-to-day to help you be techie as heck.
I'm Kristen Morris.
I'm Shelly Knapp.
And I'm Samantha Wilsker.
And this is your Tech Rocks podcast. Welcome to episode 7, trAIned, where today we take a little bit of a deep dive into AI, how we've gotten started with it, and how you can make use of it in your classroom. Shelly, I know you've been working at the high school a lot, so we're going to let you kind of kick off a little bit about your experiences with AI with students and teachers at the high school level.
Yeah, so as a TIS team, we've been really kind of digging into AI for the last year and a half. And last year it was more on how teachers can leverage AI tools to streamline productivity, to help with their workflow, to really kind of get rid of the minutia that takes up so much of their day. This year at the high school, the past few months, the initiative has been more along the lines of how students are using AI and how to set proper boundaries for responsible and ethical and effective use of it. And it's just really fun to see the evolution of getting teachers kind of on board last year. Now that we have some comfort there, how we can then start being those lead learners in the classroom and shaping AI use for students.
I love that. Can I take you back about 5 sentences ago with the word minutia?
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about that word?
Former English teacher Shelly Knapp can certainly tell you about the word minutia.
Former primary teacher here at Kindergarten First. That one's over my head.
I'm going to go ahead and Gemini that one.
We're going to compare notes.
Oh, look. Yes. Please do an on-air AI use.
Well,
search.
Shelly, I'd like to hear yours first, and then we'll compare it to that.
Yeah, minutia just means the tedious things that we do during our day that are just time sucks that we could, outsource to something like ChatGPT or Google Gemini. And now all of a sudden, those little tiny things that take up so much time has been taken from our plate.
Can you use it in a sentence again?
The minutia that takes up our day is no longer a problem.
The minutia.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's a good word.
It's word power. Samantha, what'd you get from Gemini? Nothing yet. We're still working on. How do you even spell minutia?
Yeah. Let's.
Oh, we're all Googling the spelling.
Okay. Minutia is spelled M-I-N-U-T-I-A-E.
Ooh, and what does that say? What does a quick Google search tell us
So
there?
Google says the small, precise, or trivial details of something.
Oh, trivial details.
That's the one I was hitting on.
I love that.
Yeah.
Gemini says the same thing, a very small or minor detail. And then it gives me a couple ways I could use it.
Oh, can you give me your favorite way?
He was fascinated by the minutia of antique clocks.
Oh,
so that's a positive interpretation of minutia. In this context, we were looking at more like the things that really, the tedium, the triviality of some of the things educators have to do to manage a classroom.
Absolutely.
That one is. Then there's don't get lost in the minutia. Focus on the main points.
It gave you a positive and a negative connotation. I love it.
And it's a noun.
It is a noun.
Just in case any of you were wondering on how to properly use it. I'm going to try to drop it this week. I'm going to try to use it. A week from today, we'll check back in.
Okay.
Minutia. All right, back on track. So AI, Shelly really is doing some great things. So you had almost 200 students.
Yes.
That you got to cycle through. What are some things you led the students through that you could tell were really engaging for them, right? Like we can tell when we're up there what we're catching kids with and what we're not catching kids with. Like what was an activity you did or something you said or a slide that you showed, whatever, that was like, man, these kids invested in that.
So I think if you're going to talk about AI or learn anything about it, you just have to use it. And so to start it off with, I had 2 kind of AI games. One was called Quick Draw, which I think was the favorite of the 2.
And how do I access Quick Draw?
It's just a Google tool. So you just literally type in Quick Draw and it'll be the first thing that comes up.
All right, tell me more while I quick draw.
And so the idea is that it's an AI program, and you're supposed to draw a picture. It'll give you an object, and you draw that picture. And the goal is to get the AI chatbot to guess what you're drawing in under 20 seconds.
Oh, and guess what, guys? I hit let's go. Simple as that. I Googled Quick Draw Google, clicked on the first link, and it said let's go. And she's right. It says draw a paintbrush in under 20 seconds. So it gives me what I need to draw.
Yes.
All right. So and the point of this is I'm training.
Yes. So you have, in a game, you play 6 rounds.
I see line. I see asparagus, or green bean, or sword, or broom. I see rake. I see fork. I'm not sure what that is.
I'm trying to get the paint to drop from the bucket.
I have no clue what you're drawing. I couldn't guess it.
I don't know. If you're going to get it to guess paintbrush, I don't know about snorkel.
It gets it so fast. It got clarinet.
Well, it
I
didn't
see
get.
golf club, or marker, or baseball bat, or green bean.
Do I put
see
it-
crayon, or color glove, or saxophone.
Put a face in
or
it. Put some
screwdriver.
eyeballs.
I see cello.
He's trying
or
to do
shoe,
snorkel,
or peanut,
listeners.
or clarinet. I see watch, or springboard, or shrimp, or nail.
He's trying to do
Sorry,
some
I
waves.
couldn't guess
Okay.
it.
I got this. I got
Look,
this.
I feel like there's some user error on your end.
There is. It's me. I know it's me.
It's
Look, I'm going to do a
getting
sun.
mine fast.
Circle, or potato. Oh, I know. It's sun.
Oh,
Okay.
I got the sun. How am I going to do helmet? Okay, we're going to pull it
Okay,
together.
so now, guys, add backslash
Oh,
data.
Samantha's all cute with her whatever.
Add backslash data.
Okay, so I went up to my quickdraw.withgoogle.com and I'm going to put in backslash data.
Now, this is what I walk students through because it takes you to how the AI tool was trained. So just click on any random picture there. There's like airplanes, there's boats.
I want to see if I can find a paintbrush.
Okay.
I found a fork.
So cool.
I found a broom. I want to do the giraffe. All right, I'm clicking on a giraffe.
Okay. So now you'll see all of the contributions of giraffe that people have put in. And it's like, hundreds and hundreds of pictures of giraffe. And so what the AI tool is doing, and what I talk with students about, is that how does it know a giraffe is a giraffe? It's looking for patterns. It's looking for patterns, and it's predicting based on the patterns it sees what picture you're drawing. And the same thing for any sort of AI tool like ChatGPT or Google Gemini, it is predicting the word that comes next based on what you've put in, based on patterns it's finding online. It is a predictor from patterns at its most root level. And I think the visual of the pictures really helps students understand what a data set is, and like 50 million drawings for this AI tool. That's what it was trained on. What do you think ChatGPT's training data is? I looked it up. You guys got a number?
Nope.
The students actually gave some guesses. Come on, let's give a number.
50. You can fill in the back. I'm nervous. I'm
I know.
sweating. I don't know, Shelly.
I heard millions and billions. It is actually 2 trillion tons of data that ChatGPT gets as part of its data set. And so it's really interesting for them to understand, the what happens in the background for ChatGPT to be able to give you an output. It's that data training set. And then from there we have a talk about, okay, if it's that big, there's got to be inaccuracies. There's got to be biased information, and we have to be critical consumers of information when we're using these AI tools. So starting off with that kind of fun interactive game was a really good engaging piece. And then I used Google's Teachable Machine. Do you guys know about that one? That one is you actually can create your own AI model.
And what do I go to?
Just type in Teachable Machine.
Teachable Machine.
Mm-hmm. It's the first one there. It's very cool. Get started. Image prep. We did how when you hold up your phone and it recognizes your face and it lets you get in. I had the class create their own facial recognition AI software, but instead of using their faces, I brought in my 4-year-old stuffed animals, and they got 2. I had some volunteers come up and they each picked a stuffed animal, and basically this was Bunny, and then the next data set was not Bunny. So we're training the AI model on pictures of what a bunny's face looks like. And they do a photo shoot. They have to do all different angles of the bunny's face, just like when you do a phone. You have to go up and down and around so it gets a 3D scan.
Just so you know, Shelly did it for us. We got to watch her rotate her head.
Yeah.
She's good at it. I bet it doesn't prompt you to keep going, because mine is always you're not doing it right. I know this is shocking after you saw my drawing.
I practiced the moves before I did it in front of the
So
students.
beautiful.
So it was very
Shining
precise.
star.
Yes, I know. So then you have pictures of a bunny and like tons. It takes it really, really fast. Just do your webcam here real quick,
Oh
Kristen.
gosh, but so oh boy, I hope this works.
Okay, now hold to record and just see how fast it takes the pictures.
Do I move like you did?
You can. Just hold it. See?
Ooh, that was fast.
Yeah. And so like what now? Like just like 44 images were just taken in a matter of 5 seconds.
And now what do I do for this?
So this one would be not Kristen's face.
Okay, we'll get in.
You want me to do it? Okay.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so webcam.
Okay. And-
No, you gotta be done there.
Oh yeah.
Okay, hold to record.
All right, here we go.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Awesome. Now let go. Okay, so now 72. Now you gotta train your model.
Okay, I just hit train model.
Yeah.
Here we go.
And so now the idea is that when Kristen's face is on the camera, it's gonna identify it as Kristen. And when my face is on it, it's gonna identify me as not Kristen. Now, from there, I hold up something that's not in the data set. And I asked them, what do you think is going to happen? This wasn't trained on this. What is the reaction of the AI model? See, it's identifying you.
Yeah, but it's still, it's so
which means our
confusing.
data training set wasn't big enough. Like,
Get in here. I want to see what it says for you. Oh, you're definitely
I am
not me.
100%. I didn't move my head that much in the. But see, now let's do the mouse. Ready?
Okay.
Oh, well, maybe.
Maybe it has to be does it have to be a face? No.
Yeah, let's reset it. I don't know. That does not look like me. A water bottle does not look like me.
But I get the idea, right?
Oh, see, yeah. When somebody's not
Space,
something that's not in the data set is not on there, it gets kind of confused. It doesn't know what to label it as. So then we have a conversation about, well, what if in the bunny I add pictures of the monkey, and now when I hold up the monkey, it identifies it as a bunny, like 100% accuracy. It says this monkey is a bunny. That's what happens. It's called hallucinations, which I think is a funny word. It's hallucinating that monkey is a bunny. And it happens all the time with ChatGPT. It'll present something as 100% fact when it found a hallucination that was trained on online. Mm-hmm. And so you have to then ask, hey, what are the sources? You know, that's part of being an effective use. Like what sources would speak to what you just said? And then it links different websites it used. And then you go check out those websites and you see if the information is credible.
I like what you said earlier, too, when we were talking about the quick draw with that critical piece, right? So I was really stuck on this while you guys were talking about that because I was curious when the quick draw data, right? We pulled up the data that was used to identify what a BlackBerry was. And at first glance, I was very concerned because I feel like a lot of people don't know what a BlackBerry looks like.
Very grape-like.
Very grape-like. I did love, though, that I saw a couple examples of like a phone. Remember, like BlackBerries?
Yeah.
But I think that piece for students and that piece for teachers, adults, whomever, to know that like the idea isn't that AI knows it all. It's that you know how to look at it and be critical of it. And that's the biggest piece. And I think that's what turns people away is it's like, well, how does AI know? But it's like a partnership. Like you can use pieces of it, but you have to be able to be objective to know it's correct. And I just really want to teach people how to draw a BlackBerry now. So
if you go back and you click on the alarm clock. I think it's like the third or fourth one.
Okay.
The ones that come up are like OG alarm clock.
Yeah.
And you can tell that the people who contributed this were probably on the older generation side because, you know, you have Gen Z students look at that. They looked confused. They didn't know what those little ear things were. And so then I showed my generation's interpretation of alarm clock as a digital alarm clock. And you can see a few of them in there and point them out. But their generation's alarm clock is what? Their cell phone. And that's not even on there. So in that data set, there is generational bias.
Well, and they think it's hard because your phone's so many things.
Yeah.
So if you draw that, you draw the screen of your alarm clocks on it too.
Yeah.
But I will say the icon for an alarm clock is actually that. So for that is interesting too, because you might have people who draw icons if they're used to it as well.
That's
like
true.
For some things.
That's true. That's their association.
Very cool. Well, actually, I got stuck on something we were talking about before too, as I was reading somewhere as well, like an author who uses ChatGPT so often and really trains, you know, the machine that he's working with. And Gemini starts to know you too, right? Like if you're signed in and you're having certain, and you submit enough writings, right? I think Gemini starts to learn you as well. But he was talking about how he put in something he wrote himself. Like he took the time, he wrote it out, he loved it, thought it was great, had his voice in it, and he just wanted to see if he sent it to his machine. And I really do think he was using Chat or Gemini that he just had been signed into and had used a lot. And he was also a famous author, so there's data points that could be pulled from him. But he put it through and he said, now rewrite this like you're me. And he was like, this is way better. Like the chat, whatever he was using, the AI he was using, wrote it just like him, better than he wrote it just like him. And I was like, that's wild.
That is wild, because I'm sure as part of that data set, there were tons of writing samples that it was picking, choosing words from that informed that approach. And so to kind of carry the conversation, that first half of that, like PD for students, was all about like what it is, what do we need to use it safely, to use it responsibly. And then the latter half is like, okay, in school, you have two primary things you have to do. In any class, you have to find information, you have to be able to research, and you have to write. Most of those are going to be a part of your classes. And so how to leverage AI in those contexts where you're not crossing boundaries that teachers aren't comfortable with. And Matt Miller, we love
Matt Miller.
We love Matt Miller, EdTech superstar, created this really awesome graphic that I showed students. And it is a spectrum of AI. And it has, like, at the bottom, completely done by human, and then all the way at the top, completely done by AI, and every single thing in between. And I told students, the key is transparency. You got to just go up to your teacher and say, hey, can you circle what your comfort level is? Like, I'd like to use AI for this project, but I want you to circle what you're comfortable with. Like, what are my boundaries? Because, some teachers will have more parameters than others. And, having that understanding from the get-go can really shape how students use AI. And then even like on a works cited page, here's how I use ChatGPT, and you list them out. That's actually happening at a lot of colleges. They're wanting to know how AI was used. They're requiring it on works cited pages. Like, this isn't coming. It's already here.
Well, and it's not that different than when you had to cite it for books. And then we were done citing books and we were citing websites. And now we're citing how we're using AI. And it's not necessarily, it's scary. Like, it's a big, scary world out there. I'm not going to say it's not scary, but we've done this.
We've
done it in the past. It's daunting. It's new, but we've put things in place that have really helped. So we understand where students are getting their information, and we have touch points to go back and talk to them with. So like you were saying with the AI and documenting where you used it, I mean, that's how we work with them. That's how we teach with them.
And then it's not like ignoring the elephant in the room between teacher and students, or it's not teachers playing whack-a-mole trying to catch students who have used AI in some capacity on a paper. Like, it's full disclosure. I did use it. We can't say don't use it. That would be irresponsible of us as the adults in their lives. They will be using this for the rest of their lives. In fact, I read a Forbes article prior to this PD, and I shared it with students that said 71% of employers are valuing AI skills above experience now. Like, fact, which is kind of mind-blowing. And so there were some students, I did polls throughout this presentation too, like, have you ever used AI to brainstorm? Have you ever used AI to help with organization? And I was surprised. It was like half and half, like literally the population. And maybe that can also be kind of where teachers are too. Half have touched it and half haven't, but you gotta get in the game.
Well, and as teachers, so I went on a little bit of a deep dive trying to relate this to like the World Wide Web, right? Like, we went through this before with this, like, what were people saying then? And I found this really great PDF, and it was about a writer, and it was focused on where authors and writers and news columnists are falling now that there's, the World Wide Web. And what I loved about it is I know what happened, right? Like, I've lived it. I grew up with it. So this article was from 1995. And I just thought it was fascinating because I could really comprehend and digest, because I already knew what happened. I knew the outcome. I wasn't where the author was with the unknown. But I was able to make so many parallels to where we are with AI now. And one thing as a teacher, and that stood out to me that this author had kind of said about the web, was students, like, we need them. We need our kids to be prepared to battle this unknown world, right? They are the ones that we've already said that are jumping into this, that are getting ready and going to be living that for us. So we need them to be prepared to jump in this battle for us. We need to prevent and battle against the malicious intent that this could be used for. We all know that there's a malicious intent. And even when we talk about biases, what are we training these models on? So we need them to be wise and curious and to demand answers and evidence. And I think that's where our role is here, is that we have to, it's here, it has arrived, and we need to be equipping our students to do this work for us as they are entering the workforce, as they are becoming the leadership.
And it's hard. It's so hard because it's developing so fast that it's outpacing policy and practice. And then now we're asking teachers to be the stewards of something that they themselves don't feel comfortable with. And that I feel like is part why we exist in the district, is to help find these pockets of tech newness and make them the more palatable and digestible. And AI, excuse me, is certainly one of them, and a big one.
And I think what makes it harder too is it's changing our roles. Another thing from this article that it talked about is it's changing the definition, because it's allowing us to strengthen our access. And it's really weakening our definitions of what we're familiar with, right? It's changing the terrain so much. So where a reader was once someone who could decode words on a page, that's not a definition of a reader anymore for me, with everything we've gone through in the last 20 years. Podcasts, you're listening to the podcasts and you're learning information from people and experts around the world. I mean, that's a type of reader, right? You're digesting that information so you can go and apply it to your life, to projects you're working on. We've got audiobooks, and thinking about what's coming forward. We were talking earlier today about AI tutors and who we're learning and how we're learning. So the definitions are changing. What is a learner? What is a reader? What is an engineer? Because think about how much of the machine is taking out so much of our engineering. And now how are we taking that to the next level to make?
Because, oh my gosh, humans are still such a big piece to this puzzle. Teachers are such a big piece to this puzzle. They are going to be the facilitators of, okay, you found this piece of information. Now, what are you going to do with it? How are you going to present it? How are you looking at it critically and consuming it for this project? So, it's daunting. That was a great word you used, Samantha. Kind of up there with minutia, but not
I've heard daunting before. That I had.
Well, I think after hearing all of that too, it's kind of like, okay, so where do you start?
Yeah.
And I think that's the big piece is, how do you just start?
Yeah, you said your entry point.
Yeah. What was yours?
For me, it was just opening it and just starting a conversation. I had read somewhere, just try to open up a chat and just try conversing, just whatever it is, whatever you want to talk about. And then I learned a little bit more about prompting. So I think a lot of people are jumping on okay, I tell the bot that I'm a second grade teacher. I tell the bot what I'm looking for. And that's a great next step, right? So first, just open it and just start typing something like, you could try, how old are you? And see what let's see what it says. I don't know what it'll say. Or you could say, what's the most liked meal across the United States? Just pick a random question and just start a conversation. And one of the best pieces of advice that I ever learned too is to question back. Like you were saying, like prove your source, things like that. But even if you question back, you have to remember the bot is trained to take in information and also to please you. It's like a happy little dog with a wagging tail. Like it wants you to be happy with the information. So if you allow the bot to understand that it was incorrect or it doesn't line up with your thinking. I like Gemini because Gemini, she's very kind and she always says, I'm so sorry. And, oh, thank you, you're right. And she'll jump in and give me some other information. But for me, the entry point was just to go in there and play. And it's so easy to play. It's not easy to get the information you want always until you kind of craft and hone that skill. But for me, I just opened it up. And then I learned that it could help me write vacation plans.
Oh, that was my entry point. I was just about to say my entry point was inspired by Kristen because we were in a TIS team meeting and you said, I just used ChatGPT and it helped me plan my itinerary. And my sister and I last year turned 40 and we went, I have a twin sister. So we both turned 40 on the same day and we went to New Orleans to celebrate and I've never been. I wanted some information. I was like, well, okay, I'm just going to do it. Just, like you said, open it up.
Just open it up.
And I asked for a 3-day itinerary for a vacation to New Orleans, and it gave me beautiful different ones, and a lot of it was historic sites, and I'm not so jazzed by history, so I was like, let's focus not as much focus on history. What are some great fun touristy things that tourists like to do? And then I was like, oh, I really like what you did here. Could you give me like a full day if I wanted to do this for a full day? And Matt Miller describes it as an infinitely zoomable lesson plan. Like you could ask it to do a 1-month lesson plan on Shakespeare and then to ask it to zoom in on day 3 of that 1 month and to break down the period for you. So you can zoom in. I love that concept. Zoom in as close as you want to these details. And since then, I've been hooked. It is, you don't need to Google and search through those pages and go down to page like 6 because you can't find what you want on pages 1 through 5 anymore. I mean, the amount of filtering we were doing prior to AI is kind of bonkers.
Yeah. Right. I mean, so expedited. And like you said, I told it same thing. I didn't want museums. It's really into museums. And I was like, I'd rewrite it. I don't want any museums on here.
Yeah.
And it was like, and again, Gemini was like, I'm so sorry. And she rewrote it. And I'm like, thank you. Girl, you got my back.
What was your entry point, Samantha?
Mine's super simple. I think it would be like, in this role, we draft a lot of emails. So I'll write my email, throw it through, and just be like, hey, is this the best format? And it'll reformat it for me. So it's still using what I put in. It just makes it a little more concise. And so that was a great way. I mean, you think of your lesson plans too, throwing one through and just being like, hey, I have a student who needs X, Y, and Z. Can you just give me like a focused small group on it? Boom. And it's not always like taking what it gives, but now I have a starting off point. And then I use it a lot too for PDs. Like I'm doing a 45-minute PD. Can you create an outline? And that helps me save so much time and development of the PD because I have an outline to jump off from. And so I think using it as an efficiency tool, not a tool to do the work for me. It's just keeping me going super quickly. So
yeah, I feel like it ignites ideas. It's a thought partner. It's an outline maker. It's a jumping off point. It's a refining, reframing, polishing. Like you can use it for each little part. And like you said, I'm never throwing anything in there and taking it, copying it, and pasting it somewhere else. Like I never want to do that because I don't feel like it's ever exactly what I want. But man, would I be sitting there spinning my wheels or trying to call my friends or trying to wait for a text message or an email back because I need somebody to review it. I don't need that anymore. I have something to review it and that I can work with.
Love it.
All right. Well, I love that episode. I love AI. And if you love it too, you should definitely reach out to one of your TIS members. If you're at the high school, Shelly's been doing some really great training for your students that you can jump on. And we always want you to remember, stay techie as heck.